to your side or onto your back completely. Take these first few moments just to kind of settle in. Maybe taking a scan physically in your body from crown of the head down to the toes. Then also maybe like that mental check. How are you doing? And from that place of awareness, starting to turn into your breath. So taking deep inhales through the nose and slow exhales out. Inhaling from the nose all the way down into your diaphragm and into your low back. And slowly start to exhale out. Take a few more rounds on your own. Then as you're ready, slowly coming back to your smooth, steady breath. We're going to start with some gentle breath work today. Remember that if anything makes you feel flighty or anxious, you can completely not follow the cues that I'm doing. But we're going to start with some breath work to ground ourselves down and to just kind of open up the practice in a grounded way. So once you are settled, you're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale out completely slowly. So we inhale, 3, 2, 1. Hold and retain the breath for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take one more round on your own. And after your last cycle of breath, start to come back to your regular breathing with your inhales and your exhales. Take one hand to chest and one to belly, tucking the chin ever so slightly towards the chest. And set your intention or dedication for your practice this morning. And that could be something that you carry with you throughout the rest of your day or throughout the rest of the week. Or working on more of like a grounding practice today. Something to anchor your breath, your mind to, can be a word or phrase. And we'll open with one collective breath together, inhaling through the nose and open mouth, let it go. Slowly start to blink your eyes open if they've closed. We'll come up into the seated position and interlace the fingers. Take them behind your back or behind the back of the head. Notice if you're starting to like lean forward a little too much or even back more, which changes the tilt of your pelvis. So see if you can anchor your tailbone down and gently start to pull navel towards spine or maybe up towards heart space and just find that engagement of your core. From here, slowly start to take right elbow down towards the right hip and take left elbow up. And come back through to center. Lift baby up towards heart space or belly up towards chest. And then slowly start to take it over to the left. One more time on each side. Come back through to center. Find that engagement as you exhale. Slowly take it over. And come back through to center. Exhale out completely. Find your pelvic floor engagement and slowly start to take a left elbow down. Come back through to center. Take the hands down. And you'll find these gentle spinal twists. So anything where we're kind of moving laterally, like side to side, or gentle twists, it's not like using our arms to find that leverage. We're more so twisting from our obliques and from here. So twisting from here where you're not using your body for prenatal, postnatal is best because you're engaging through the areas that actually need to work. Obviously, if the twisting doesn't feel good for prenatal or postnatal, you don't have to do it. But instead of like cranking yourself into that position, just see if you can recruit your obliques and your back body to find the twists. And this can be, and you can kind of go from side to side. This can be really great for stretching the low back and also like side body and obliques. You can take one more round on each side. And then when you're ready, come back to your seated position. And we're going to move through a little bit more breath work, just a couple of rounds to engage through our pelvic floor. So remember, as you exhale out completely, everything moves up and in. And then as you inhale, it slowly lowers down. So that exhale is what lifts pelvic floor up. The inhale is what lowers it down. So imagine that blueberry that you're seated on, and we'll take a breath in, a breath out, inhale, and then exhale, slowly lift blueberry up from the ground floor to the first floor. Inhale, slowly lower back down to the ground floor. Exhale, lift blueberry up from ground floor, first floor, second floor. Inhale, slowly lower down, first floor, ground floor. Exhale, lift blueberry up from ground floor, first floor, second, third. Inhale, slowly lower down from second floor, first floor, and ground floor. So you're exhaling and lifting. And as you inhale, slowly lower down. Take about 2 more rounds on your own. After your last cycle of breath, come back to an easy, gentle breath. Take the hands to the thighs. And on your inhale, you're going to squeeze your shoulders together, push the chest out. And on the exhale, chin to chest, round through your upper back for your cat pose. So inhale for your cow pose, we're seated. And then exhale, round, chin to chest, protract the shoulders for your cow. Take a few more rounds. And then maybe for these last few rounds, you add in either going from side to side laterally, or maybe just kind of moving the hips, which can also feel nice on the pelvis, just to move around in all different directions. So we're not just in this static position. Then you'll take one more round and we'll come back to neutral, coming back into center. As you're ready, we're gonna roll over onto our hands and our knees into a tabletop position. So working on our core strength, we'll also work on some hip opening from here and strengthening as well. But from here, see if you can exhale everything out completely and pull your navel up towards your spine or baby up towards heart space. Nice. You're engaging through your transverse abdominals, your side body, and also pulling everything in. And then tuck your toes under, lift your knees off of the ground. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down. How did that feel okay for everyone? Okay. So remember, as you exhale, pull everything up and in, and then tuck toes under, and we lift our kneecaps off of the ground 2 to 4 inches. So take a full breath in, exhale out completely, feel everything engaged, tuck toes under, lift up, hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down. Take 1 round of cat-cow. We'll come back to that neutral position. And for our last round, we're going to hold for 6 breaths. Take an inhale. Exhale out completely. Pull navel up towards heart space or baby up towards heart space. Feel the core engage. Tuck toes under, lift up for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down. Take a child's pose, knees as wide as the mat. Press chest down, forehead can ground down. Start to walk the hands all the way over to the left, pulling your right hip back into space. Breathe into your right side body, into your right hip crease. And come back through to center. And slowly start to take it over to the other side. Hands roll all the way over to the right. Pull your left hip back. Come back through to center. Moving into our tabletop position onto all fours. And we'll take a couple of hip circles, taking our right leg up and back. Just start to take a couple of circles really slowly, back, around, and forward. Keeping your core engaged. And then we're gonna switch and move forward, out, and around. Which can be the harder. Come back to your tabletop position onto all fours. Moving to the left side, start to take those circles really slowly down, around, and back. Just try to move that left hip and nothing else. And then you're going to reverse and go forward, out, and around, or whichever way that you weren't doing before. Nice. Come back to your tabletop position onto all fours. Take an inhale. Exhale out completely. Hug baby up towards heart space or belly up towards spine. Tuck toes under, lift knees off of the ground. Hover here for 3, 2, on 1, send your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Starting to pedal out the feet, take anything that you need. And on your next inhale, right leg reaches up and back. And then slowly start to take the right foot towards the top of your mat. And we drop into this lizard pose. So drop your left knee down. Right knee is over right ankle, and you'll start to shift forwards and backwards. Or maybe you start to take some circles around. Does this feel okay on your back, Lisa?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
We'll still come back to that lizard position. So right knee is over right ankle, dropping into that left hip. And then see if you can hug your right knee towards right shoulder to feel that inner right thigh engage. Hold here for 3, 2, on 1, slowly start to wiggle right foot towards the center, and we come into a low lunge. Press your left hip forward, right knee tracking over right ankle, and then reach the arms up. Press the hips forward, drop your tailbone down, and you should feel this in your left hip flexor. See if you can soften the shoulders down your back. They're crawling up towards the ears. And then take your right hand to your waist to anchor yourself down, and then slowly lift up through your rib cage and take a side bend over to your right. Left hip is pressing forward. Anchor your left shin down and press into the shoelace side of your left foot. Come back through to center, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands frame out your right foot, step back, tabletop position. Inhale completely. Exhale out, engage through the core, pull baby up towards heart space or navel to spine. Tuck toes under, lift kneecaps off of the ground, hover here for 3, 2, send hips up and back on 1, downward facing dog. Pedaling out the feet, settling in. Then when you're ready, left leg reaches up and back. Take left foot towards the outside of your left pinky, coming into that lizard pose, adjusting as needed, and slowly drop that right knee down. Yeah, a blanket or a bolster or pillow underneath that right knee is definitely a great thing to have. And then you'll start to shift forwards and backwards. And maybe taking those circles. Take a few more rounds of any movement. We'll come back to that lizard pose. Hands inside of your left foot, hug left knee in, engage through your left inner thigh. You should feel it turn on. Hold here for 3, 2. On 1, slowly start to take left foot towards the center, and we rise up into that low crescent lunge. So our tailbone is down, pelvis is neutral. You don't have to like posterior tilt too much. And by posterior tilt, I mean, if you look at what I'm doing right here, I don't mean like sending your hips and thrusting them forward like all the way, but just enough so that if you anterior tilt, which I'm starting to do, which is like a ton of that sway back, just see if you can find a neutral position a little bit. From here, reach the arms up, press your right hip forward, feel that right hip flexor, and left hand will come to your waistline. Inhale, lift up through the rib cage and side bend over to your left. Press right hip forward. If you notice that that right shoulder is starting to lift up, draw it back down. Nice self-adjustment. And then we slowly start to come back up, low crescent lunge. Hands frame out left foot, step it back, tabletop position. Take a full breath in. Exhale out completely. Engage through your core, your transverse abdominals. Tuck toes under, lift up. Hold here for 3, 2. Send hips up and back on 1. Downward facing dog. Start to let your feet and your hands meet one another at the top of your mat. Or towards the middle, just letting them meet. Keep the levity in your knees, so slight bend is totally okay. Shoulders away from the ears, grab opposite elbows, ragdoll. You're grounding down through your feet to allow that low back to stay protected. And then rock from side to side. Shake your head yes or no, unhinge the jaw, let everything go. And then from here, release the hands down to the ground. Ground down through your feet. Keep the core engaged. Slowly rise up until you come up to standing in your mountain pose at the top of your mat. From here, both legs are facing forward. Feet can be about hips width distance apart. And then we slowly start to drop into a squat. Pull everything in, so engage through the core, hug everything in towards the midline, Lisa, and then for Tori, see if you can lift up and in, bringing baby up. Yep. Slowly start to shift the weight into the right leg. Pick the left foot up, hands to heart center, holding here in a balance. And then you can either drag that left foot back or keep it lifted. And we rise up into a high crescent lunge. Take a full breath in. On the exhale, take torso over the right thigh. Arms go back. And then inhale to lift up. Exhale, torso over the right thigh, lean back, airplane arms. And take it up on the inhale. Last time, exhale, hover, lean forward, shift the weight into that right leg. Maybe you pick left foot up for your warrior three. For 3. Nice. 2. High crescent lunge on 1. Exhale out, find your warrior 2. Bend into your right knee. If your hips are feeling more loose, you can always keep that stance a little bit closer. If you want to, you could also widen it out. From here, inhale, flip right palm, reverse your warrior, reach back. And then come into your hovering extended side angle. So right forearm hovers over right thigh, left arm reaches overhead. We're working into our obliques. Inhale to reverse, reach back. And exhale, let that right arm hover over right thigh. Left arm reaches up for 3, 2. On 1, left arm brings you back up to standing into your warrior 2. Straighten through your front leg. Turn your right toes parallel. I'm going to turn this way so that you don't just see my back. And then you'll start to hinge at your hips and forward fold. Hands can come to blocks, or they can come all the way down to the ground. Press into the outer edges of your feet. And then the reason why I'm doing this with you all is because we haven't done this one before, but we're going to get into our hips. Remember, you don't have to drop all the way down. You're going to turn your right toes towards the front, bend into that right knee, and take the hands to the right side of your mat for Skandasana, or hands to heart center. So see how I'm bending deeply? And then you're going to crawl back through to center if you want to look to see what I'm doing, and Skandasana towards the front. Yep. And you can kind of crawl side to side, and you're going to feel this in your inner thighs, your inner groin and hips. Yep. And try to stay low if you can. I know this is probably, for Tori, if you were doing a ton of hip work yesterday, it's probably a lot on your hips, but this can also help stretch out. You'll take 1 more on each side, and then we meet at our right foot, bending into that right knee. Start to turn the right toes, if they haven't already, towards the front, and we warrior 2 back to where we started. Yep. Turn the right toes parallel, and then start to wiggle your feet in, pinch your toes in, heels are out, slowly drop into your goddess pose. Hands to the thighs. You'll start to drop right shoulder down, come back up, and left shoulder down. Go from side to side. And then from here, slowly start to come back up, dropping into that goddess pose. Take the arms out to 90 degrees, and then interlace right arm underneath the left for eagle arms. Lift up, elbows towards the shoulders, and then we're holding here. Pull baby up towards heart space, or hug everything in towards the midline. For 3, 2, and 1. Slowly start to release goddess arms. Start to rebend into your front leg, warrior 2. Inhale, flip right palm, reverse your warrior, reach back. Exhale, cartwheel, hands down, frame out your right foot. You can either move through a tabletop position or into a low push-up position. So you can either move through your chaturanga or take a cat-cow. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Full exhale out. Starting to look forward. Let your hands and your feet meet towards the center of your mat, however you want to get up to the top. Feet are about hips width distance apart. Keep the core engaged and slowly rise up one vertebrae at a time till you come up to standing. Toes are pointed forward, or they can be a little bit like pinching heels in, big toes are out. And then we drop into that squat once more. Yep. Pull baby up towards heart space, or knit everything in towards the midline. Shift all of the way into that left foot. Pick your right foot up, let it hover, holding. And then as you're ready, you can take it back into your high crescent lunge. Nice. Once you're there, settle into your high crescent lunge, dropping the shoulders down the back. And then we're still, Lisa, you're gonna hug everything in towards the midline. So like knitting in. For Tori, you're lifting up and in as opposed to wrapping everything around. And then you're slowly going to hover torso over your left thigh. Arms go back. Yep. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, forward. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lean forward, hover torso, shift the weight into your left foot. Stay here, lift right foot up, hug everything in for 3, 2, high crescent lunge on 1, reach the arms up. Nice job, everyone. Exhale out to your warrior 2, fan open up the arms. Gazes over left middle finger, whichever side you haven't done yet. Then inhale, flip left palm, reverse your warrior, reach back. And exhale, hover extended side angle. Left forearm hovers over left thigh, right arm reaches up. If you need that balance, you can always keep that left forearm down. Yep. Inhale to reverse, reach back. Just try to make it as light as you can go. And exhale, hover and hold for 3, 2, on 1. Slowly start to come back up, warrior 2, and inhale, straighten through your front leg. Turn the left toes parallel to the front edge of your mat. Yep. You guys can turn around if you don't want to face back behind me. Yep. And then you're going to start to forward fold down through the center for that wide-legged forward fold. Hands can either come to blocks, you can tent up to the fingertips or plant the palms down. And then just as you did before, this might be easier to see now that I'm facing forward. Turn the toes a little bit forward and you'll start to bend into that left knee. You can come onto your right heel or you can keep right foot down for your skandasana and then take it to the back. So you're moving forwards and backwards, staying as low as you can go. Maybe you keep hands at heart center. Just shift from side to side, getting into your hips. Nice. And then from here, We're slowly going to meet at the front. Turn the left toes forward and rise up. From here, start to walk the heels and toes in, dropping into your goddess pose. Taking as wide of a stance as you want to and settling in. Take a full breath in. Full exhale out. Inhale. And then on the exhale, reach the arms up. Lift baby up towards heart space or hug everything in. Inhale to drop down. And exhale to lift up. Inhale, drop down. Exhale to lift up. Last time, inhale. Exhale to reach up. Inhale, drop back down. Interlace, left arm underneath the right, goddess or eagle arms. Lift elbows up towards shoulder height and settle in. Hug everything in towards the center line. Lift baby up in towards chest for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly start to release. Rebend into that left knee, coming into your warrior 2. Inhale, flip left palm, reverse your warrior, reach back. Exhale, hands frame out your left foot. Step back to your tabletop position or into that plank position with knees. Lower halfway down or take a cat-cow. As you're ready, we will meet in downward facing dog. And then we're coming into puppy dog pose. So coming onto hands and knees. From here, start to walk the arms forward. Hips stay pitched over knees and dropping forehead down. Dropping into the chest. There can always be that slight bend of your elbows if it's feeling like it's too much. Last cycle of breath. Then you'll slowly start to bend into the elbows, walking the hands back, sitting onto the shins. Take a couple of neck rolls, shoulder rolls, anything that feels good. And then as you're ready, we're on our shins. If you want to, you can place pillow or blanket underneath knees as needed, but you're gonna come up, tuck toes under, and gently start to feel that stretch on the backs of the feet and the arches of the feet and the toes. So remember, as you lean hips back, you're gonna feel more weight go back. If you don't want to feel as much, you lean forward, maybe you take hands to ground and shift hips back. Take a few more rounds of breath. And then we'll slowly start to come back up. Untuck the toes, gently press shoelace sides of the feet or kind of knock them around. And then knees are about hips width distance apart. Hands can come to the low back or they can come behind the head, depending on what you're doing. We're more so feeling this in front of the legs and into the chest as opposed to into like the upper back and the shoulders. So we're going to inhale to come down and then exhale, lift up, press hips forward, squeeze your glutes. Inhale to come down and exhale to come up. Press hips forward, engage through your core. Lift baby up towards heart space or hug and knit everything in. Slowly come down, inhale. And to exhale, use your legs, come up, shift hips forward. We'll do one more. Slowly come down. Exhale, push up. Maybe your hands interlace behind the head. Gently roll the elbows back. Press hips forward for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down. Take a couple of neck rolls, shoulder rolls, anything that you need. Then we'll slowly slide onto one side of our hips and take legs out in front. So for our wide-legged or seated forward fold, depending on if you need more space, you can take your feet out like a little bit wider in a V shape, or you can keep legs together, just depending on what you want. And then from here, try not to round through the upper back like this to reach forward. See if you can keep that length from crown of head down to tailbone, and then start to forward fold. As baby gets bigger, it's going to be harder to forward fold. So you can just grab what you want or the strap, or you can try to reach forward, but just try not to cave in and round through the upper back. That will start to bring it into like your low back. We're trying to keep the spine long. And then from here, slowly start to come up. Butterfly position. Hold your feet to touch, knees drape open wide. Take your heels towards the inner thighs, sitting up tall. Elbows can press into the inner thighs if you'd like to. Sit up tall, inhale. And now if you want to, you can forward fold, rounding through your upper back. If you round through your upper back, you're going to feel more like a cat pose. Maybe also feeling that slight like sensation in your low back. And if you want to, you can use the elbows on the inner thighs to gently press down to feel more of that opening through the inner thighs and the groin. Last 3 breaths. Then as you're ready, slowly start to come up. Taking both legs out in front or coming onto the side. We're gently going to come down onto our backs. We won't be on our backs for too long. Stamp your feet into the ground, coming into a couple of hip bridges. Knees are pointed up, toes are pointed forward, hands come alongside the body. Make sure you can graze your heels with your fingertips. So that might mean that you walk heels in a little bit more. Yep. Exhale all the air out. Inhale completely. And then exhale, press down to lift up. Pelvis and hips lift up. Squeeze the glutes. Feel everything turn on for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down. Press the low back down into the ground. Setting up for our second and final round. Preparing, knees pointed up, toes pointed forward. Exhale all the air out. Inhale completely. Exhale, press down to lift up for 8. 7, squeeze your glutes. Feel the fronts of the legs turn on. 5, 4, remember to breathe. 3, 2, and 1. Slowly come down. Windshield wiper legs back and forth to release the low back. Then as you're ready, coming into figure 4 pose, cross right ankle over left thigh. Reach through, catch on to belly of left thigh. Yep, and gently pull back. We'll be in this hip stretch for about 10 breaths. Tori, are you okay on your back for short periods of time? Okay, cool. You can also always do this seated as well during the work day. If you're seated in a chair, just crossing ankle over thigh and then leaning forward. Really nice way to get in some hip stretches during the day. Take one more cycle of breath. And then as you're ready, slowly start to unwind. Hug both knees towards the chest, resetting. And then as you're ready, cross left ankle over right thigh. Reaching through. Starting to slow down our breath. Slowing down our practice. Last few breaths. Then as you're ready, slowly start to hug both knees towards the chest to reset. Taking a happy baby. Rocking from side to side, gently pulling the knees towards the armpits as much as you'd like to, applying as much pressure as you'd like to. And then when you're ready, slowly start to hug both knees towards the chest. And we're going to settle into our final resting pose, Shavasana. So either staying on your back, you could also come onto one side with something in between the legs, getting as cozy as you want to, or it can be to settle in for our final resting pose. Taking the time to settle in, closing the eyes or softening the gaze over the tip of your nose for a very well-earned rest. Tracing your breath as you inhale through the nose. Tracing your breath as you exhale. grounding down, taking this time for yourself. If your mind starts to wander, come back to your breath, focusing on the space behind your forehead. Tracing your breath as you inhale through the nose, the throat, heart space, belly. And then slowly exhale, breath out from the belly, heart space, throat, and nose. Smooth, steady breath. Focusing on your inhales and your exhales, or the space behind the forehead. Tracing your breath as you inhale. Tracing the breath as you exhale. Slowly start to deepen your inhales. Lengthen through your exhales. Bringing awareness back into the body, wiggling fingertips or maybe your toes. Then when you're ready, slowly roll over onto one side if you haven't already, and pressing up to your seated position at the top of your mat. Finding a comfortable seat, whatever that might be. Tucking your chin ever so slightly towards the chest. We're going to finish with a little bit of box breathing. Box breathing is equal inhales and equal exhales for a little bit more grounding today. So you'll inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. If you notice that your shoulders are moving with your breath, just try to breathe into your low belly. Continue this box breathing, 3 breaths in and 3 breaths out, or maybe you shorten it or lengthen it. Take 3 more cycles of breath. After your last cycle of breath, come back to that smooth, steady breathing. Take one hand to chest or heart space, one to belly and baby. Feel yourself grounded down. Thank yourself for making it onto your mat this morning. Feeling the support of your own self, support of this community around you, support of this practice in your breath. Closing together with one breath together, inhaling, open mouth. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me and one another. The light in me honors and respects the light in each of you. Namaste. Have a great rest of your morning.